Right. I think we are live. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Mic check 1 2 1 2. If anyone in the chat can hear me, just push one. All right, we got a confirmation. Yo, thanks for the confirmation. Welcome back to the Black Brain Trust. This is episode 382. Please hit the like button as you come in, share the video if possible, hit that notification bell so you get all the updates from the Black Brain Trust, including those posted on the community tab. Just as an FYI, if you're looking to get into IT for the first time on an entry level, we do offer IT mentorship here. If you are going from one IT role to another, we do offer IT coaching. We also do resume reviews as well as salary negotiations. If you are in the tri-state area and you're trying to find a contract role in IT, Nagone 11 does have recs on the table for the tri-state area. All right. We're going to talk a little bit about what we left off with last night, which is the Rwandan Android phone, the first smartphone made in Africa. So before we even get into talking about that, we got 8 people watching, man. I'll get started when we get at least 10 people watching and 10 likes. If you want to get on the panel and engage in the discussion, there'll be a link in the chat. When you click on the link, make sure you raise your hand so one of us can acknowledge you and advance you to the panel. If you don't raise your hand, you're going to be there for a long time. So have it your way. All right, we got 10 likes already. So let me get started. Complex Design, shout out to Complex Design, one of the members of the Black Brain Trust, did an unboxing last night of the Rwandan smartphone. It is an Android-based smartphone made in Africa. And what he unveiled was a quality device comparable to, let's say, an iPhone 8 or 8 Plus in build quality, and has all of the nominal features of an Android phone, today's modern Android phones. So this brings the question, how do you, if you're trying to get into IT, if you're trying to get into the tech space, how do you take advantage of the first African smartphone? Well, you have to drive that hardware, that smartphone, with applications. And a lot of the time, people buy these small, they buy iPhones, they buy the Samsung Galaxy Note, and they show it off, but you're not really driving the technology, you're just using it. What we're trying to talk about here tonight and on this channel overall is about driving the technology. Okay. What are you doing to drive the technology? And what I'm seeing from a lot of BMs and just foundational Black Americans as a whole is that they don't want to drive the technology, they want to use the technology. Whereas Africans are saying, we're going to drive the technology first to our needs, proprietary to our needs. So most Africans don't have landlines. And so how they communicate and how they interact with the web is through a smartphone, if not a tablet, mostly smartphones. And because of that, Africans need to, Africans need apps. The continent needs apps. Apps is what really drive the ecosystem. So how do you become a part of that total ecosystem is by designing these apps. Apps that are very proprietary to their environment, in places like Kenya that has the least amount of energy continuity. So you're not able to charge your phone all day long. You might get 5 or 6 hours of electricity, and then it might shut down after a certain amount of time. So people are accustomed to going without. So how do you design apps around environments like that? Water conservation, energy continuity, energy security, telemedicine, because not everybody has access to a big university hospital like you do in the United States, because the United States is a first world power. And what this entails is really understanding the landscape and understanding the environment and for what it is. How do you address those issues if you're ADOS, if you're foundational Black American, if you're a hashtag, whatever you are? You're looking at this new growing, emerging economy where this new smartphone is coming out of there, and they're promising to build millions of these smartphones over the next year or so. So there's a viable market there. And what we're trying to figure out is, what end of the spectrum do you fall on? Do you want to be a user, or do you want to be a driver? And so what comes to mind for me, and I'm not an app developer at all, I work in cybersecurity, so it's a little bit different for me. So I come at it from a different angle. What I'm looking at here is integrating yourself into this ecosystem while at the same time not being negatively disruptive, but positively disruptive. What do I mean by positive disruption? You created an app that solved an issue that had a social impact that improved the lives or the situation of the users. Things like micro mobility, taxiing of people on motorcycles and so on and so forth. Creating new busing systems through medium mobility meaning we have these minivans that actually pick people up at certain destinations in certain areas, and they're using this via an app. This is a game changer. The Rwandan smartphone is a game changer because it's a powerful device. It's comparable to that of many Android phones in the West. Even that of an iPhone, right? We compare it very, abruptly to the iPhone 8 or the 8 Plus at best. So we know that the device has power, but how do we drive the power? We drive it through apps. So let me share my screen. Let me see if anybody's trying to get on. No. Let me share my screen real quick. All right. All right. Give me 1 second. All right. So this is from Google, developers.google.com. Progressive web apps. So what does this mean overall? What is the overall meaning behind a progressive web app? So a progressive web app is basically a offline interactive website installable on your browser or your device, depending on what kind of device you're using. You could be using a feature phone, you could be using a smartphone. So let's read this off the site. Progressive web apps are user experiences that have the reach of the web and are reliable, load instantly, and never show the dinosaur, even in uncertain network conditions. Respond quickly to user interactions with silky smooth animations and no janky scrolling. Engaging, feel like a natural app on the device with an immersed user experience. This new level of quality allows progressive web apps to earn a place on the user's home screen. Okay. Reliable. When launched from the user's home screen, service workers enable a progressive web app to load instantly regardless of the network state. A service worker written in JavaScript is like a client-side proxy and puts you in control of the cache and how to respond to resource requests. By pre-caching key resources, you can eliminate the dependence on the network, ensuring an instant and reliable experience for your users. Fast. 53% of users will abandon a site if it takes longer than 3 seconds to load. And once loaded, users expect them to be fast, no janky scrolling or slow to respond interfaces. Engaging. Progressive web apps are installable and live on the user's home screen without the need of an app store. They offer an immersive full screen experience with the help from a web app manifest file and can even re-engage users with web push notifications. The web app manifest allows you to control how your app appears and how it's launched. You can specify home screen icons, the page to load when the app is launched, screen orientation, and even whether or not to show the browser Chrome. So what they're talking about here is this. It's reliable because it's not network dependent, right? It's installable regardless of the network state. So you factor in on the continent and many other developing countries, they pay a lot of money for bandwidth. So having an app that can be downloaded over Wi-Fi at a coffee shop or some other venue allows them to have full integrated access, user experience with an app with subpar network connectivity. And it doesn't use a whole lot of coding, right? It only uses JavaScript. So JavaScript is usually the fundamental programming language available for when it comes to HTML and so on and so forth. It's a very usable language. It says that it's fast. 53% of users will abandon the site if it takes longer. So it's fast because it's cached on the phone. It's pre-cached. And it's engaging because it has a full screen experience. It looks just like an actual app that you would get from an app store on iOS or Android, but it actually is not. So it's taking the place of the yesterday's app that you would find on the App Store, but giving you a full user experience, full screen experience. Let me scroll down a little bit more. Let me let Josh in. Why build a progressive web app? Building high quality progressive web app has incredible benefits, making it easier to delight your users, grow engagement, and increase conversions. Worthy of being on the home screen, when progressive web app criteria are met, Chrome prompts users to add the progressive web app to their home screen. Increase engagement. Web push notifications help extra electronics increase engagement by 4x, by 4 times. And those users spend twice as much time on the site. Work reliably no matter the network conditions. Service workers enabled Conga to send 63% less data for initial page loads and 84% less data to complete the first transaction. So this uses very little bandwidth, and very little data is actually generated when using a progressive web app, PWA. Improve conversion. The ability to deliver an amazing user experience help AliExpress improve conversions for new users across all browsers by 104% and on iOS by 82%. So you see, people are starting to abandon going into an app store where they can just actually go, go to a link, download that, and actually have it work on their phone without going through all the signing in and all the criteria necessary that you would have done on a previous generation device or a previous generation installation. You're now having this sort of easy pass sort of setup where you can traverse the tolls, and get around by going through an easy pass route and actually getting straight to the app and getting that instant user experience. Lighthouse, an open source automated tool for improving the quality of your progressive web apps, eliminates much of the manual testing that was previously required. You can even use Lighthouse and continuous integration systems to catch regressions. So Lighthouse, being an automated tool, has improved the quality of the web app, progressive web app experience. Dive deeper. Progressive web app checklist. This checklist breaks down all the things we think it takes to be a progressive web app. Progressive web app dev summit videos. There's videos on this that you can look up. Move to HTTPS. Progressive web apps must be served from a secure origin. So this is important. We talked about this slightly yesterday with the Android bug that for SMS texting and the vulnerability that it has. Moving to a HTTPS means that the connection is over a secure port and protocol. And what this allows here is a reliable relationship and quality relationship between your device and the instance that is connecting to. So you don't have to worry about your data being leaked out or being compromised, because HTTPS is there to prevent and assure that your connection is actually secure from a browser perspective. Preventing mixed content. Finding and preventing mixed content is vital to ensuring a secure login. So you don't want to be spoofed by a malicious website trying to play a man-in-the-middle attack. Progressive web apps on the desktop. Progressive web apps now work on all desktop platforms. This is true. So you're getting that same web experience on the desktop that you would on your phone. App install banners. Chrome uses a set of criteria and visit frequency heuristics to determine when to show the banner. So what happens here is you'll go to a website and then it will prompt up and say, would you like to install this? And it's a yes or no, because it recognizes that you're on a mobile device. That's what it's recognizing. And based on the performance of your device and so on and so forth, it's going to adapt to that phone's features. Whether you have a 6-inch or 7-inch screen or a 4.5 to 5-inch screen, it doesn't matter. Lighthouse is an open source automated tool for improving the quality of the web apps. We talked about that earlier. Get support, get your support questions answered on Stack Overflow. So Stack Overflow is a resource for IT and technical support. So let's click on the Get Started button. So here we have an image of what a progressive web app looks like on the phone, right? Let me zoom this in so most of y'all can see this. Hey, Josh, you got anything you want to add before I go forward?
Nah, keep going, bro. I'm just listening. I was gonna add a little bit later.
So this is what it looks like on the phone. So this is, I'm assuming this is an Android phone that they're talking about, but progressive web app on the browser versus what's available on the phone looks exactly the same, and it adjusts to the size of the phone. So let me read this caption real quick. What you'll build. In this code lab, you're going to build a weather app using PWA techniques. Your app will use responsive design so it works on desktop or mobile. So interoperability. Be fast, using a service worker to pre-cache the app resources, HTML, CSS, JavaScript images needed to run and to cache the weather data at runtime to improve performance. So they're talking about as soon as you hit the site, it's going to cache all of this information that it can, and it's going to store it for that time period. So say, for example, from a weather app perspective, if we have 8 o'clock in the morning, we know the rest of the, what the weather's going to be like between 8 a.m. and let's say 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. for the rest of the day, at least the business day. That data is going to be stored in the pre-cache, and it's going to show you what the day looks like, and you don't have to constantly go back and get an update unless you force the update. So this is actually pretty good, because if you pay a lot for bandwidth, especially in some of these other countries like Latin America and Caribbean and on the continent, they pay an exuberant amount for data. So they pay about a kilobyte. Be installable. Using a web app manifests in the before install prompt event to notify users it's installable. So what happens here is you go to the website and it will prompt you to install the app onto your device or onto your browser on your desktop. What you'll learn: how to create and add a web app manifest, how to provide a simple offline experience, how to provide a full offline experience, how to make your app installable. This code lab is focused on progressive web apps. Non-relevant concepts and code blocks are glossed over and are provided for you to simply copy and paste. What you'll need: a recent version of Chrome, version 74 or later. Progressive web apps work in all browsers, but we'll be using a few features of the Chrome DevTools to better understand what's happening at the browser level and use it to test the install experience. Knowledge of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and Chrome DevTools. So we talk about coding a lot, and this is why we talk about coding, because this is the importance of coding. So let me kind of go through this. Getting set up. Number two, get a key for the Dark Sky API. So an API is an application programmable interface. This is how your device or in your device in the server is going to communicate, or your device to a said service is going to integrate and work with each other. That's how they communicate with each other. It takes all of the trickery out. Basically, you specify in the API which data and which information it needs to gather and fetch, and the API will go out and go get it from that server or from that website or from whatever instance it's trying to get in the cloud, and that makes it easier. So therefore, you're compressing data as it comes down to the device. What's our starting point? Our starting point is a basic weather app designed for this code lab. The code lab has been simplified to show the concepts in this code lab. And it has little error handling. If you choose to reuse any of this code in a production app, make sure that you handle any errors and fully test all code. Some things to try: add a new city with a blue plus icon in the bottom right-hand corner. So what we're looking at here is the early stages of the building of the app itself, and Lighthouse allows you to improve the quality of the build itself. That's what Lighthouse is there for. You're basically auditing all of the code. Typically, in the previous generations of computing, you would have had a QA team, a quality assurance team, look at the code to determine whether or not this is something that's viable to be pushed out. Now, in a DevOps sort of society that we live in the tech space, that stuff is done in real time, on the fly, usually through one person. Add a web app manifest. By the end of the section, our weather app will pass the following audits. Web app manifest does not meet the installable requirements, is not configured for a custom splash screen. So a splash screen means when the app starts up, that you see this sort of branding of the app itself. Some apps are like that, some apps are not. Depending on how you develop your app is how that's going to determine the user experience. Usually when you start a phone up, it shows the Apple logo. That's the splash screen. Apple is pushing their brand through the splash screen itself. Does not set an address bar theme color, so it doesn't actually have to specify the URL location, the address bar, with a color or not. All right, create the web app manifest. The web app manifest is a simple JSON file that gives you, the developer, the ability to control how your app appears to the user. So basically, the JSON file is a pre-segue into how the app is going to behave itself to the user itself. I'm not going to go over all this stuff, but this is the coding that goes inside the JSON file itself. For those of you who don't understand what this looks like, this is code, JSON code. Some of it is predefined, and then the others is actually what you define, what you want to define within it.
Hey, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Why don't you check your email real quick? I sent you another rec. I was late. I'm sorry. I apologize.
That's fine.
But to just check your mail, it's a software engineer.
Yep. Add iOS meta tags and icons. Safari on iOS doesn't support the web app manifest yet, so you'll need to add the traditional meta tags to the head of your index.html file. So iOS has its own particular structure on how it actually allows you to develop apps for it. And in this regard, it doesn't support web app manifest. So that's a nuance that you see between Chrome and Safari. All right, let me all right, provide a basic offline experience. Let me speed this out. There is an exception, or there is an expectation from users that installed apps will always have a baseline experience if they are offline. That's why it's critical for installable apps to never show Chrome's offline dinosaur game. The offline experience can range from a simple offline page to a read-only experience with previously cached data, to a fully functional offline experience that automatically syncs when the network connection is restored. In this section, we're going to add a simple offline page to our weather app. If the user tries to load the app while offline, it will show our custom page instead of the typical offline page that the browser shows. By the end of the section, our weather app will pass the following audits. Current page does not respond with 200 with a 200 when offline. A 200 means you made a successful connection to the web through your web browser. Start URL does not respond with a 200 when offline, so it's not going to try and fetch its way. It's not going to give a response if it's offline. That's what the 200 means. Does not register a service worker that controls page and start URL. So let me scroll down a little bit more. Service workers to the rescue. If you're unfamiliar with service workers, you can get a basic understanding of what they can do, how their life cycle works, and more by reading Introduction to Service Workers. So this Google page is giving you all of the, it's basically hand-holding you to develop an app, a progressive web app for Android or iOS, or the desktop for that matter. But in this regard, we're talking about Android. So what we're seeing right here in this little mock-up is that you have a page that is the site, the progressive web app itself, hands it off to the service worker. The service worker does all of the legwork, the labor that will talk to your 4G or 5G connection or 3G connection for that matter. In some poorer areas, you have 3G connections. And it's going to, if it can make a successful 200 connection, which is successful, it will then cache the data that it needs and then feed it right back into the progressive web app itself, the PWA. This is very rudimentary and basic and is a game changer in how we develop apps for mobile. 10 years ago, this was unheard of. So what we're looking at right here is the storage of a progressive web app. You can see that the usage is at 27 kilobytes used out of the 15,938 megabytes of storage quota that's available on the device. So this device has something like 15 gigs. If I remember correctly, it's about 15 gigs. And what it says right here is 25 kilobytes of cache storage versus 2 kilobytes of service worker storage is available. And then you can clear the website, and then you can start from scratch all over again. All right, let me get to this next one. Provide a full offline experience. Take a moment and put your photo into airplane, put your phone into airplane mode and try running some of your favorite apps. In almost all cases, they provide a fairly robust offline experience. Users expect that robust experience from their apps, and the web should be no different. Progressive web apps should be designed with offline as a core scenario. So, say for example, if you had a web store, right? If you had a online store and you were in offline mode for whatever reason, maybe you had an EMP blast, maybe you just lost network connectivity, whatever data that was stored within that store, from a e-commerce perspective, let's say there was some fitted hats or some other items that you wanted to buy, but you ended up offline because you went into a tunnel or some other basement or something like that. You lost connection. That progressive web app is going to continue working based on the criteria and the information that it had previously. So you may add some things to the cart, make a payment, and as soon as you make that, as soon as you pass through the checkout and you hit that network connection availability again, it will finish the transaction. That's how it's supposed to work. That's the sort of experience that it's trying to deliver. Pre-caching your resources is a similar concept to what happens when a user installs a desktop or mobile app. The key resources needed for the app to run are installed or cached on the device so that they can be loaded later, whether there's a network connection or not. So that's what I was referring to earlier a few seconds ago about having a e-commerce store that works offline, and as soon as the network connection is available, boom, it already makes the transaction. That's the sort of experience that you're trying to deliver. Depending on what kind of device you have, you may not have a whole lot of space. I know a lot of iPhone users run out of space really quickly when they take too many photos and too many selfies and things of that nature, record too much video. On Android devices, we don't really have that problem because we have expandable storage. So we can have up to 128 to 256 gigabytes of space and not really worry too much. So caching on the Android device makes a heck of a lot of sense. The stale while revalidate strategy is ideal for certain types of data and works well for our app. It gets data on screen as quickly as possible, then updates once the network has returned the latest data. Stale while revalidate means we need to kick off two asynchronous requests, one to cache and one to the network. So this is what I was just referring to earlier about an e-commerce store working offline. I'm not going to go into too much of this stuff because this is not necessary to really talk about too much. I'm not a programmer, so I'm kind of shooting from the hip right now, but this is my understanding of how it works. So number 7 is add install experience. When a progressive web app is installed, it looks and behaves like all of the other installed apps. It launches from the same place that the other apps launch. It runs in an app without an address bar or other browser UI user interface. And like all other installed apps, it's a top level app in the task switcher. So this screenshot right here shows that the web app that was developed is given the option to add it to the home screen. This is installable. It doesn't even take long. I think it takes like maybe 2 seconds or something like that. In Chrome, a progressive web app can either be installed through the 3 or the 3 context menu. As you see right here, this is the context menu that it's referring to. So let me click on this. And what you see right here is this drop-down menu that allows the ability to install an app by downloads and stuff like that. or more tools. And it says it right here. So extensions, task manager, developer tools. If this website had if this website was a progressive web app or had that available, it would actually show it here. All right. And congratulations. You successfully built your first progressive web app. You added a web app manifest to enable it to be installed, and you added a service worker to ensure that your progressive web app is always fast and reliable. You learned how to use DevOps or Dev tools to audit an app and how it can help you improve your user experience. So I'm going to drop this link in the chat. It will also be in the description beneath the video for those of you who are very much interested in developing apps for Android. And the reason why we're talking about this again is to rehash this. Complex Design did an unboxing yesterday for the first African smartphone, and apps are needed to drive the hardware of the smartphone. It's nice that you have an African smartphone, but there needs to be some apps to go with it. This is what's going to help you in that endeavor. Progressive web apps. Very simple, very basic to work. If you understand HTML, if you understand CSS, and you understand JavaScript, this is going to be the first thing you develop. I've seen classes, boot camps, and things of that nature that run for 30 days for coding. You can actually develop your own app, and Google is actually putting all this together for you. What's going on, Josh?
Yeah, what's up, man? So, I mean, the only thing I can add to it, I mean, you was spot on with that, man. It's gonna change the game when it comes to like web desktop apps. Based on what I seen, but only thing I can add to it, they got another link on that Google page that you was on.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Firebase.
Say it again.
Firebase.
Firebase.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If you like were to go back to the, I don't know if you want to pull it up, but if you go back to the main page on the developers.google.com.
Yep.
Now I helped somebody. They were going through a class on using Firebase, and I helped them. And it's basically how you actually go about creating those mobile and web apps.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the older way, but you can develop it all right on firebase.google.com.
Mm-hmm.
I think I talked about this once before, but it's just a good way to build apps fast. So Google, I mean, yeah, I mean, you already covered a lot of it, you know what I'm saying? But Google has all the resources and everything out there supporting, documentation to help you get into this game
Mm-hmm.
on their site. And so, I mean, that's really all I can add to it, because you hit everything on the head, you know what I'm saying? Pointing it all out. So
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, but Firebase is right there under if you click on it looks like, I think under fundam, well, no, if you go back to the main page, like keep going back. Oh, I'm sorry, go forward, and then take the developers off. Well, no, take the code labs off of it, and well, take the back of it off, like progressive-web-app and web, and take that out. Yeah, take all that off and just go back to the main. Yeah. And if you go to under products at the top, yeah, and Firebase. So that's what you use. It helps you create those apps pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So I mean, you obviously have to understand the code. Like I said, I'm not a programmer, just like you. You know what I'm saying? I know some coding, but I can't mentor anybody on showing them how to actually use it. I tried to help somebody with it. I only got so far because I'm not a programmer using Firebase, but I was able to at least help them, start. And so that's all I got to add to it.
Yeah, that's actually good. I didn't notice the Firebase myself, but that's definitely helpful. Yeah, Cloud Firestore. See, this all connect. See, once you put all of this into perspective, you open up an Azure account or an AWS account or even a DigitalOcean or what's the other one?
Google has one too.
Huh?
It's on Google has one too. I forget what it's the link.
GCP2, but there's
Yeah.
Give me 1 second. I'll figure it out. OpenStack. That's what I was thinking. OpenStack. Sorry. OpenStack is free. It's open source. You can spin up your own cloud instances and build your own cloud, your own cloud IaaS, infrastructure as a service, and actually do fundamentally well. OpenStack actually has a significant amount of percentage in the market, and it's open source. So, I mean, AWS has roughly 2/3 in the market, but if I remember correctly, the last numbers is that OpenStack has roughly 10% of the market, and it's open source. So you keep that in mind when you're trying to keep costs down, that you can spin up an OpenStack source for free and not have to worry too much about cost overruns when you're dealing with cloud computing and you're dealing with progressive web apps. This is all going to come into play. It's all going to come full circle when you get all this together. Let me go to Udacity. All right, this is from Udacity, man. Introduction to programming. So 4 months, at least 10 hours a week, no coding experience needed. If you take this and complete this and then jump into Google's PWA walkthrough, you'll be developing apps in no time. You don't need to be Java or C++ or C#. You don't need to know all of that to develop a PWA. So that's why we're having this conversation. So this is from Udacity. It says Introduction to Programming. Learn the basics of programming through HTML, CSS, and Python. Explore possible programming paths with our final project section or selection. Get confident in your ability to think and problem solve like a programmer. Be primed and ready for our career-ready programs after mastering these projects. So intro to HTML, intro to CSS, Cascadian style sheets, intro to Python. This is actually pretty good because Python is used in 9 out of 10 places in terms of software development now or coding now. And then intro to JavaScript. Again, JavaScript is what's used in progressive web apps. This is actually the perfect program for any of you all to jump on to get into the app developer space.
All right. Hey, Mike, would you also, I think I always like to set very realistic expectations. I know a lot of people might want to say, hey, I want to jump in the program and I want to get in IT. And I want to be making $120,000, $130,000 a year. I'm a recruiter. I know the life cycle on this. Could you kind of maybe expand a little bit on that, just to kind of keep what I would say expectations realistic? It's a great career and all that, but what are realistic expectations here, Mike?
Expectations should be on the entry level side of app development. This is more, what I'm talking about is more around the gig economy. You're basically doing this pro bono, and then you're getting compensated later based on how well the app does. If you're trying to get into IT from the software developer side, or a coder, coding and software development, two different genres, but for all intents and purposes, we'll just use it as one. If you're trying to get into the IT game through software development, software engineering, app dev, application development, you got to be able to write some form of web code. So you're going to come in as a front-end developer. Front-end developers usually don't have a lot of experience, but the experience that they do have is enough to develop code. And you're going to be making somewhere in between 60 to 90K on the entry level side, at least in the Northeast. And usually the turnover time for, from what I've seen and some of the people I've talked to offline, it's anywhere between 9 months to 18 months. That's usually the time period.
I would say dollars and cents if you're coming on the entry level side. I don't really have any entry level jobs because the firms are not hiring me to find entry level people. They usually are hiring me if they have a problem and they need somebody, they need to find a fairly sophisticated individual that they don't have time to define. But most of the entry level jobs I see people coming in with, even entry level coders and so forth, it's not about 45, 50.
45K or 45 an hour?
45K. If you're looking at an hourly rate, they're not really hiring entry level people so much that I'm seeing.
Because they get interns
for contract. Exactly. So about
a pretty good bank themselves. So.
Yeah. So $45,000, 35 to 45,000. Just getting your feet wet is kind of what they're hitting people up with. Very help desk side, but if you're on the application development side, software development, it's a little higher, like 45 or so. But it scales up quickly if you're pretty good, and then if you can move to another environment where you've seen a lot and definitely have put your hands on a lot of stuff and worked with a lot of kind of a cross-functional environment where you've picked up a lot of different things. Mm-hmm. The more knowledge you have, the more valuable you become, and where you can be a much bigger asset, even in a bigger company. That tends to move up pretty quick. But you got to give yourself 36 months, of working and really putting some time in to really get live here. As far as entry level, it pays halfway decent, but when you start moving up the ranks, the money gets really crazy. And I've given Mike 2 recs that stuff that I come in with people who are getting paid some pretty significant dollars. And then the reason why I gave him those recs to show, because it shows you the amount of technology and stuff that people have picked up over a few years, and to show you how they've gotten to the levels that they've gotten to. So and you can pick up a lot of knowledge pretty quickly. So stuff that Mike's talking about, entry level, learning how to do applications and learning how to write apps and stuff like that. This is very important stuff, because it starts somewhere, and then it's like building a Lincoln log house. You start with a couple of logs here, and then you lock them all together. Next thing you know, you've got foundation built, and then you keep locking it, adding more stuff, and next thing you know, you got a real nice house you've built. But that's kind of what I wanted to kind of break down and leave open here. All right, Mike, go ahead.
No, I think you're hitting it right on the money. I think there's a different perspective to all of this as well. I'm seeing interns in their they can write their own meal ticket. They're just doing internship for right now, and then they get hired into a very major role. I think coming out of these boot camps, from my understanding, some of these boot camps actually help you get a role if you're proficient enough at your projects.
Correct. Yeah.
And because of that, that can determine your trajectory. So let me go over this rec right here that Nagone posted. Senior lead software engineer. So what is the job description? Responsibilities. Were you gonna say something?
No. Yeah, just go ahead. Just read responsibilities. Go ahead.
Yeah, the responsibilities: design, develop, test, deploy, maintain, and improve software. So this is more of a DevOps role. This is more of a DevOps role. Manage individual project priorities, deadlines, and deliverables. This is definitely DevOps. Confident technical coach, ensuring team members are able to complete their role to the best of their ability. So,
okay, hold it right there. Mike, just go on what you're gonna say, but the reason why I said it, hold it right there. Now, that key thing here is if you're one of those younger developers and you're in a team like this is where you pick up a lot of key stuff. This is where you are a junior leaguer to where you start to really pick up, learn from a senior level guy. That starts to put you into a higher role. That's like if you're in the martial arts, you're a white belt. Now you're getting your blue belt. Now you're getting ready to move up to your yellow belt. You're getting ready to get some different belts underneath you through working on various projects like this and moving forward. I just wanted to throw that in there. Mike, go ahead.
Yeah. Confident technical coach, ensuring team members are able to complete their role to the best of their ability. So this is somebody who's seasoned in what they do and what they're being asked to do. So they've seen a lot of different environments. It's not uncommon for a software guy, developer guy to bounce from one company to another based on the projects and stuff like that. This is a rec that's on the table. It's a full-time rec, but this might go for 12 months. It might go for 18 months, and then they move on. That's just the nature of the game. That's what it is. That's how a lot of guys pick up their experience, is that they bounce from one place to another. They get to see different environments, different projects and stuff like that. Those are the guys who are the Green Berets, the guys who have that experience, that worldly experience, where they can kind of knowledge dump to lesser knowledgeable people.
And this is the same kind of guy that can take you, if you're, let's say, a pretty strong Java developer and you're doing some good Java stuff, and then he might want you to get into a little more cloud stuff. He can pull you on one side of the project, move you over to something else, and have you start to learn something else as well. He's kind of moving stuff around, but this guy's highly butter-laden in his skill sets. He's very knowledgeable about cross-functional matrix environments of where a lot of different technologies are, knows a lot of different stuff, can put you into place. If you've come up as a junior leaguer to start to learn a lot more. You want to be around, cats who can kind of move you and expose you to different things. But anyway, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, so let's look at the qualifications. Let me read the last bullet. It says you'll collaborate with leadership, key stakeholders on a regular basis. So you're talking to C-level executives. You're keeping them abreast on what's going on. Your maturity is there. This is not for the young. This is not for young legs, man. This is for the seasoned guys, 35, 40 plus. That has their head on their shoulders. They're very mature. They know how to carry themselves, and they still know how to manage the responsibilities that they've been delegated.
And there's a certain political aspect to this as well. So you have to really know how to kind of relate and deal with people, because you're talking about technical specifications, technical stuff. You got to put some of the stuff in layman's terms if you're going to be dealing with other types of people, and be able to explain it to them so they can understand it, and then you can get a lot of information from them. So your application development can really follow along the lines of what these people are really looking for, and make this really work. If you're working in an area, let's say you're in a profit center, you're working for a bank or something else like that, you talk to a managing director who may not be that super tech savvy, you're going to have to know how to talk to that person. Really key. That person, of course, can have the right, if they're not liking you, they can get you lit up as well. But you do have to be a good listener, and you have to have good, somewhat level of good social skills. So that's why I'm saying just being a tech person is just not just being a nerd sitting in a corner somewhere tucked away. Some people do that, but if you want to play a more senior role and get to the big money, this is where it's at. Now this role is paying some nice bread.
Yeah, this is not for introverts. A lot of IT people tend to be introverts. This is not for the introvert. This is for the ambivert, extrovert type of guy or type of person who has the confidence and the swagger to balance in between in between the labor side and the political side, because all office has politics in it. So let's look at the qualifications. 10 plus years of work experience in C#, ASP.NET, MVC, WCF, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Angular, WTF, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. It's a whole lot of alphabet soup going on here, but this is somebody 10 years in. So you factor in, it's 2019 now. This is somebody who's been around since 2007, 2008. That's what they're looking for, 10 plus.
Right.
Someone who saw, who's in the trenches at another company and took on, responsibilities that probably was outside of their scope and got their cut their teeth over there. So deep functional knowledge and hands-on experience with web services and server-side programming. Yeah, this is somebody who works on the back end. This is a back end guy. Strong knowledge of MS SQL Server 2008 and 2016. So these are kind of legacy instances or stacks. 2008 is out of support for Microsoft, and 2016 will be off probably in a couple of years by 2022.
Okay, the key here is, all right, technologies you learn today, if you think they're going to be defunct and gone in the next year or two, you're wrong. Stay on top of your skills, consistently add on. But remember, your baseline stuff that you're probably dealing with is going to be around, so stay strong. There's always going to be a need for a lot of this stuff being around. That's why it's going to be well-versed, but very strong in some of your basic stuff here. So even though this is a senior role, when I'm not talking about the senior guy right now, this is the role that he's playing. I'm talking about you as the entry level or kind of more younger whippersnapper type of developer coming in, who's just getting his, their beak wet a little bit, getting their feet wet. I just want to just keep your mind a little keyed on that. Keep your mind a little bit more keyed on that, because here are some technologies that people would say would be gone, a few years ago. They're not. They're still rocking.
No,
right, go ahead.
No, yeah, the strong knowledge of MS SQL 2008 and 2016 is important, because companies have to hold on to this, because this is a part of their technology stack. They can't just jump off of it because something new came out from Microsoft. It's not how it works, or AWS.
That's right.
Experience working on Docker's AWS a plus. So Docker is a relatively new technology in the cloud space. It's been around for probably about 10 years or so, but it's still relatively new if you're transitioning from a legacy to emerging tech like cloud, especially AWS. And Docker basically is a container. So it runs app virtualization inside the virtual space. You were gonna say something, Josh? Okay.
No, that wasn't me, but I can't add to that. Yeah, Docker is exactly what you said, containers. And I know I've used it on Linux. They have Docker as well as LXCs, LXDs, which is basically containerized. You can containerize an application, for instance, and mainly for testing and actually deployment at a certain point. But yeah, I mean, you can set up a whole LAMP stack within a container and transition that to anywhere you want to go.
You can add a blockchain into a container.
Yep. Exactly.
All right. I think Gabe asked, what's the salary for this role? 120
questions. Gabe, come on the panel.
Yeah, Gabe, jump on the panel, man. Step up to the plate. Step up to the plate. We getting live up in here, but 6 figures. All right, and it's backing up a profit center because this is coming out of a bank. So there's a percentage of the profit center that's going to be involved in this as well. So you could be going up anywhere 300,000-400,000. All right, depending on that. Very important that you handle your job, because how well you do and how well that situation works out for you on the back end with doing a lot of back end development. That's going to help that profit center work out a lot more. And you're in the kitty. So a lot of incentive to kick ass. All right, anyway, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah. Experience in BPM workflow, ESB platforms are plus. So this is business process management. If I remember correctly, that's what BPM stands for. So basically, this is the this is the business intelligence side of the requirements. Experience in web security design. Web security, now you're talking about WAFs, web application firewalls, intrusion detection systems, intrusion prevention systems, IPSs, knowledge working in the financial industry. So whether it's insurances or Wall Street, or it's fintech or something like that, you gotta have some understanding of what do you call it? SOX and stuff like that. Experience working with diverse technical teams. Before, it used to be just like 2 or 3 teams. Now it's not uncommon that you can have a dozen teams working on different things, man. Business intelligence, operations, business analysis, IT analysis, and things of that nature. Exposure to agile Scrum methodologies. We talked about this the other day, about the importance of project management versus agile and Scrum. We went over Scrum.
Yeah, I think this is an agile. This is an agile house. I think they do waterfall as well. I think there's some other things in there, but I can get back a little bit more on you. Just talk about Paolo Pellizzoli. He was the one that gave me a lot of good insight on this. So I've got more stuff on there, but I think their methodology is agile. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, oh man, I didn't know y'all went through agile. I just got certified.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, in the agile,
Which
that whole agile framework or whatever. What's that?
Which brand or which house did you certify with?
Don't know off the top of my head. I'm gonna have to look it up. But yeah, I did go through the main agile for teams. Agile for teams, and they actually implementing that at my job right now. So we going through the whole Scrum calls and the the whole nine. Everything within the agile framework is what they call it. Yeah. So I'm certified in it for a year right now.
Man, good for you, man. Good for you.
Good for you, bro. Nice.
Yeah, it says excellent written and communication skills. I think that goes without question, man. You should be having that even at the entry level point. Doesn't make any sense that your written skills is like you're texting some chick or something like that, man. It should be on some Butterlake stuff.
Yeah. I mean, but really being able to write well and being able to get your ideas across very well is something you have to work at. All right, even though people are somewhat literate, to be literate to speak, because what you're doing is excellent. But your skills have to be well written, but it has to be able to be explained to people who may be less technical. So you have to have that ability. So and that people tend to have a good amount of experience with that, but that's an important skill set. Very important. And it's just not because, hey, I read pretty good, I write decently. Can you write to people who you're very technical, who are not very strong technical people, but yet this is going to affect their their area department, maybe senior manager or whatever, and they've got reports and everything else that they've got to deal with. Are you capable of writing well, so that individual can understand as well, or reasonably so. So it's important to have a good skill set there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's a senior lead software engineer, seasoned guys, man. This is for seasoned guys only, but this is where you're gonna work your way up to. I know we got Mike on the panel now. He had a question. Mike, you want to go ahead and ask your question?
Hey, how you guys doing? Thanks for having me up here, guys.
Hey, what's up, Mike? How you doing?
All right. Yeah, so my question was, because I'm trying to, push people towards getting into tech and whatnot. So for somebody who's interested in coding, where would you advise them to look for work, or what type of work would they look for as far as somebody who just started coding?
I would say I would just do some projects for friends, who might have something, or volunteer your time with let's say a nonprofit agency or something else like that, and do some work with them while you're working another job, and just volunteer some time and start coding there, and start working on maybe some projects that they may have, and see how your skill sets are developing there. You don't want to crash people's servers and blow a lot of stuff up, but you want to start kind of small and move in. You're not going to immediately jump into a job first. Some places have internships and so forth, but that's kind of how I would really start out. The key, first of all, is to really start to learn what you have to do by learning the coursework that it might require. If there's certifications, that's certainly fair enough. What the search do is just kind of help you to consolidate information, but then kind of get out there and Mike made a great point. Work pro bono, work for either friends or work for a company, volunteer some time to get the experience. And then once you feel somewhat kind of comfortable and you've gotten your feet wet a little bit, then you start applying as a junior or entry level developer, and then get your application out there and kind of see how it works. As a process to this.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want people to say, hey, I'm just going to jump right in here and just start to do this immediately. It doesn't work that way. So that would be some of my suggestions. Mike, do you have anything else you might want to say?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head. I also think that getting into some GitHub work and looking at people's projects and kind of replicating some of the projects and kind of demonstrating that you can actually understand and comprehend what it is that you're getting yourself into. There's a lot of stuff on GitHub that's widely available from an instructor standpoint that you can kind of replicate on your own.
Gotcha. I appreciate that. Yeah, me myself, I'm not into coding just yet. I'm on the other side of tech, on the support side.
You're on the administration side. What do you kind of do? Help desk or kind of?
Yeah. Right now I'm on help desk, and I'm trying to go the server and cybersecurity side.
Mm-hmm.
I want to work my way up that way.
Mm-hmm.
Are you working for? What kind of company are you working for?
I work for a big school district out here in Arizona, in Tucson.
Okay.
Who's the head tech guy that's heading up like software, the development side, and all that? Who's that? Software,
I would say we got a guy named Rick Foster.
Mm-hmm.
One of those guys. We don't see him a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
He works from home and remotes in most of the time.
Mm-hmm. You have a relationship with him? Can you talk to him? Say, hey, Rick, I'm a little interested in maybe some development side. I'm looking at this side of the game. Can you give me a little ideas? Can you show me a little about what you're doing? Can you guide me maybe on some coursework I can take, and maybe I can, work with you a little bit, off the cuff, and kind of see how some of the stuff works. I mean, I'm not looking for anything extra. I'm doing what I'm doing, but hey, what do you think about that? Man, okay, man, no problem. Next thing you know, you're making some different moves, and that's what you need to do.
Yeah. Any good work environment that has a good culture also has knowledge transfer or knowledge sharing. The best environments always have knowledge sharing and knowledge dumps and stuff like that from senior users. They do this to prevent a monopoly on skill set in knowledge. So that, this guy, if he ever walks from the company, or this person, if they ever walk from the company, they're not taking a whole bunch of proprietary knowledge with them. They have to share that information with all the other members of the team, just in case anything happens to them. There's a couple of books that you can look up on Amazon called the I think it's called the Accidental Server Administrator. It might be a bit of an old book, like 5 or 6 years old, but it's still relevant. What happens?
Yeah,
What
it's
happens,
old as new. Anyway, go ahead.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
what happens if you end up in a situation where you're delegated the responsibilities of an administrator, server administrator, and you don't have any clue about what's going on from a help desk perspective? That happens every single day to a lot of people. They're constantly Googling, but for your environment, there has to be some working knowledge, a playbook or something to that effect that has all this information available as to what to do in case X happens. In case server goes down, what would you do in case this did go down? How would you assess it? How would you troubleshoot it? Let me see if I can find the book, because I know that's gonna bug me.
Yeah, so that's what they got me doing now. They let me go and sit with the server guys a couple hours a week, and then also with the desktop admin guys. It's kind of like a continuity thing, because a lot of the guys we have already retired from the school district and came back as contractors. So they're kind of at the point of they could leave whenever they want now.
Well, yeah.
So,
Yeah. So this is the book right here. At least I think this is one of them. Yeah, Accidental Administrator. The Accidental Administrator Linux Server Step-by-Step Configuration Guide. So except for IT professionals and accidental administrators. So I would definitely jump on something like this. I own this book right here, Unix and Linux System Administration Handbook. This is a Bible. This is not something you sit down and read from end to end. This is something as a reference guide that you go back to in case something does happen. Linux Bible too. I can't stress that enough, man. I know Josh probably has a couple of.
I have that one. If you go back to the next one. Yeah, you see that one in the middle with the guy sitting with the hat on? The Linux Pocket Guide.
Oh,
I have one of those with me all the time, and it's short. It goes through all the basic commands, or it has all the basic commands in it. So simple commands like copy, cd, ls. That Pocket Guide is real good. So you might want to get that too. So.
all right, that's good info right there. I appreciate that. I'm actually working on Linux on my free time at home right now, just trying to build my own stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chop it up. That's what my channel is all about. My separate channel, Keep It Techie. It's all about Linux. That's all I do is, talk about Linux applications, servers, working with configuration files, all that. So.
All right, definitely. I'm going to definitely check that. I think I'm subscribed already.
Yeah, the Linux is pretty critical. Boy, it's critical.
Yeah, it runs 70% of the of your servers out here. So any sort of enterprise or academic space is going to have some form of Linux servers up in there, man.
Yeah.
It's the first thing that you're going to have to troubleshoot anyways. But yeah, I would definitely look at certifications. We've done live streams on this, tech talks on this before. So it's you can go back to our archives the last 6 months and kind of see some stuff that we talked about. But if you want to go over that stuff again, man, I'll be definitely open to having a tech talk Saturday night, and we can kind of go back over that stuff. But we've gone over this stuff maybe 3 or 4 times this year already. Let me drop this in the chat because I know some people are going to want it. Did we answer Gabe's question?
What was Gabe's question?
Gabe said, "What was the salary of that senior?"
Yeah. I said it was 6 figures. I said, about 120 on a base, and at least that's the base range. But I said it was in a profit center. It's at a banking solutions company. So the people who will be there will be part of a profit center as well. So Their bonuses will be based on the profits of the area that they're supporting, and it could go up considerably higher, maybe more than double what the base is.
Yeah.
So something like that could go to possibly up to 400,000.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, close to 500,000. So it's you know, not bad dough, not bad money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, let me get to this next rec right here. All right, this rec right here is machine learning architect. About you, data isn't just your job, it's your craft. You don't shy away from huge amounts of unstructured data or a challenging classification problem. You get excited about the opportunity to design new solutions. You're not shy about identifying opportunities to improve current systems and offerings using machine learning. You aren't afraid of math, and you can explain the formulas you use and their impact on your models. You can pick up new languages and new technologies quickly, and you're always on the lookout for alternate solutions and cutting edge research. You want to lead the charge designing machine learning models, but you're also not afraid to roll up your sleeves and help roll out applications of these products as well. So what are the qualifications? Bachelor's degree, minimum 2 years experience leading development teams implementing robust software applications using natural language processing, NLP, machine learning on unstructured data and information retrieval. Minimum 5 year software development experience using object-oriented languages or OOP. Firm understanding of software development practices, so SDLC. Automated testing and code design optimization. Proven ability to apply artificial intelligence techniques to achieve concrete business goals while understanding available resources and constraints around data. Demonstrated expertise in all steps of data science, from initial discovery through cleaning, model selection, validation, and deployment. Confidence training and guiding colleagues through complex technical challenges. Ability to effectively communicate technical information to both technical and non-technical personnel. So again, like the last rec that we looked at, they look for communication as being key. Preferred qualifications, graduate degree, PhD, computer science experience with public cloud platforms and services such as GCP, AWS, Azure, or similar. Experience in analyzing web traffic and user behavior, server logs, JavaScript, traffic and platforms, etc. Proficiency in object-oriented languages, Java and or Kotlin, Python and Common Language, Common Machine Learning Frameworks, TensorFlow, NLTK, Stanford NLP, LangPipe, etc. Experience with big data platforms such as Elastic. So Elastic is actually a very robust platform that you need to know if you're going to get into big data. This is a big data job rather than a machine learning job.
That's exactly correct. A lot of object-oriented stuff in there. So you got to be fairly butter-laid for this role. All right. A butter-laid cat is only, you got to be butter-laid to step into this role. I'm looking for some good people for that right now. I got about 4 people lined up, but I don't know how butter-laid they are, but you got to be butter-laid. It's paying big bucks. Okay. Put these jobs in. These are big buck jobs, you know, and this job, in fact, is actually outside of New York City. It's further upstate. So it's outside of the metropolitan area, and it's still paying a hefty 6 on that coming through. So you definitely and this is really more for a very large engineering media company. So that's the type of firm, firm that it is, and the individual has got to be it's got to be robust. He's got to be butter-laid, and looking for guys who've got some very good programming skills, understanding just a lot. You've got to have a big set of shoulders on you, and that's kind of what we're looking for this. But I wanted Mike to kind of explain it and go through it a little bit, because both of these jobs I'm laying out, big bucks. You're in the game for a while. You are six figures. 250, 300,000, all this kind of stuff. This is where you're at. This is the game you're in. If you want to sit up here and play for a little bit, this is not going to end. This is going to be going on for perpetuity. So I want you guys to understand that. That's why we want you guys to get into it. Okay, Mike, go ahead, break it down.
Yeah, it says below represents the majority of our technology stack, but our team is regularly investigating and implementing new languages and technologies. As long as you are willing to learn and in object-oriented programming, OOP, it is not necessary to be familiar with all the technologies listed below. Java, Kotlin, C#, JavaScript, Python, CodeFusion. Here's my analysis on that bullet. You gotta know either Java fully or C# fully. Pick one of the two. And then everything else is just additional. JavaScript and Python, those are just additional languages. You can just jump in at any given time. CodeFusion, that's legacy stuff, but that's what they anybody who has at least a year or two of programming under their belt can look at CodeFusion code and understand it. Elasticsearch, Kibana, Logstash and Kibana. So this is ELK for sure. Knowing how to use that stuff, they have a lot of free classes on ELK. Any meetup, I know in Boston we have a lot of meetups. I know quite a few people who work on ELK, and yeah, they're pretty friendly. I spoke with them many times in person. So Docker, Kubernetes, Helm, and Vault. Josh and myself had just talked about Docker and Kubernetes. These are container platforms. Kubernetes is an orchestration platform for containers. So brush up on that. You can grab any sort of white paper, look at that in about 20 minutes, and you should be able to get that. It's basically app virtualization. That's what containers are, app virtualization. MS SQL server. So Josh works with databases quite a bit, so he can maybe speak to that.
Josh, you there?
I think Josh might be away. Let me just skip past that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you wanted me to chime in. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Chime in. Go ahead.
No, you was just talking about MS SQL. Yeah, I mean, in what reference? Or
No, just the difficulties of learning SQL. Is there difficulties?
Oh yeah. I mean, there are plenty of classes out there you could take on it. I mean, if you can grasp, or if you've been I would say a systems administrator, like if you manage domain controllers, if you managed any type of production Windows services, then you can pick up SQL, because I mean, a lot of it is, and not SQL as in the language, but as in the actual application, because it's point and click, just like all of Windows services.
Yep.
It's pretty much point and click. So you just got to understand the, I would say the configuration side of it is the more difficult part of it. Like when you start getting into clustering, failover, how to fail over servers, all that administrative work that goes in the back end of it. It's a little bit more difficult, but the courses are out there to explain it. And like I said, if you've worked with any type of Microsoft production service application, then you can pick it up. It's just a matter of finding what you're trying to do and where it is in the actual application. So.
Yeah. jQuery, Vue, less CSS, Cypress. These are all data science components. The rest of it, CF wheels and MX unit, I'm not really familiar with that. What I will say to this is that 4 out of this, 4 of the bullets can actually be studied upon. Like I said before, you gotta even specialize in Java or C#, one of the two. And everything else is just additional. JavaScript and Python is just additional. Elasticsearch, Elk Stack, you can learn that in 30 days. Docker Kubernetes, you can learn that in 30 days. MS SQL, like Josh was saying, that's, it's all point click. I think why they look for people with bachelor's and degrees or graduate degrees is because depending on where you graduate from, that's usually a verifiable piece of criteria for them. If you graduated from Stanford or Syracuse U or NYU, those are verifiable places. They understand how rigorous their programs are. You're not getting through a lot of IT or computer engineering programs on bullshit. That's not happening. I've done undergrad. I think Josh has probably done some undergrad himself. I've seen guys get torn out the frame. First semester getting torn out the frame. You haven't even got to calculus 2 yet or calculus 1, and you're already getting torn out the frame. So these programs are very rigorous, man. They don't just produce garbage pail kids, man. It's very rare that you see whack people graduating with less than a C average. It's just not happening. Most of the people who are graduating from these programs are either honors or they're guys who kind of could have got the honors, but they missed out on 1 or 2 phases. That was it. When I did my capstone, when I did my my thesis, I was surrounded by butter people. So and I was being judged by corporate execs who were looking at my my capstone and saying, that's pretty tight. We like that. So.
Well, like I said, I just want to say Mike's right. I have seen 1 or 2 what I call Chuck Yeagers. What's a Chuck Yeager? Chuck Yeager was basically he was a fighter pilot. He was a pilot and then kind of got moved up during the war. Became a fighter pilot, like an ace. Never went to college.
Mm-hmm.
But then had some of the most critical, air fight and air combat skills ever, battlefield promotions and the whole deal. And he ended up retiring as a general, and he was probably one of the last generals you've seen to ever really get that rank without having a college degree. So there are some people who can do this, who have done it, who are that butter laid. Very, 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 very rare. So I've seen 1 or 2. I have, but that's a very rare thing. But on the whole, what Mike's talking about as far as degrees and getting through and people judging you on that, that's a big part of it. Very.
It's a vetting process. It's a vetting process. I have never graduated from a D1 school, a D2, D3, D4 school. But what I will say is that in my experience and dealing with this type of stuff is, do you have the degree or not? And the question, the answer to the question is yes. Okay, you have it. What else can you demonstrate after that, right? You have this certification, so I don't really need to have that much of a conversation with you. My boss has a CISSP, CSIM, and CISO now. He has CISO now. So
yep.
So if you try to challenge him, you're gonna kind of look like you got egg on your face. His credentials,
call out. You're gonna get served.
Yeah.
Served.
Yeah. So certifications play a role in these areas, man. For certain people, it's something like that software lead role. An SDLC certification would actually be very beneficial. Even something like an architect's a TOGIF. Let me pull up TOGIF.
I had an architect position I was going to send you over that I'm recruiting for as well. Butter late spot. I didn't want to break that. I thought these would be enough from the app dev and from some of the machine learning. I could drop off some database stuff and everything else like that, but I didn't want to spend the whole night going over Rex. I just wanted just to kind Recs, for those who may not be familiar, are requisitions, job requisitions. But I just want to go over some stuff right now. This is pretty butter laid. I don't want to get utterly hammer laid up in here, so folks would hopefully they would lose their spot. But for the techies, I think this should work.
Yeah, and this is TOGIF. So TOGIF is an architect's IT architect certification from the Open Group. So 9.2 training is designed to meet the Open Group's requirements and give you all the tools to pass the exam. You'll learn the process-oriented approach to architecture development and how to provide strategic context to IT projects, allowing you to make successful operational plans and inform business decisions. I've only seen maybe 2 or 3 people with this certification because it's that challenging. But people who do have them, they're pulling in big bucks with it. So again, IT consultant, enterprise architect. That's what this certification is really aimed at.
Very key. I think Jibba Jabba had a question. He asked, what kind of mathematics should you really be concentrating on? As far as much to the stuff that we're looking on, besides being a real serious design engineer, I believe college algebra really is pretty much what you need. Basic mathematics skills, but college algebra.
Yeah.
And you know having that, some of the functions and stuff you're going to be dealing with are kind of algebraic in structure. So that is what I would basically concentrate on. Calculus, where you're getting into derivatives, and then you're getting into kind of integration, and you're doing some of this stuff. It gets a little bit more complicated dealing with integrals and so forth. That's more really on the engineer side. They put a lot of formulas in already that are already done there, which you have to kind of know how they work. You don't necessarily have to have that. You don't necessarily have to have it. A lot of, some programs and some schools would like you to have it just because there's a certain level of rigor there, and there's a thought process that goes with that. So they kind of like that. But college algebra more than anything else is pretty much what you need. Algebra. Good at algebraic functions.
Yeah. Good. Very rarely do I ever use algebraic functions. Although they, in order to pass any program, you're going to need to know that. But
right.
Rarely in my daily operations, I don't really use that much math. I use some basic math, but that's the extent of it.
Right.
I don't really use a whole lot. Even at the networking level, I don't. If I need to subnet, man, I can subnet right off of a calculator for that matter. And that's it.
Exactly, Mike. That's a great point. Just don't want people to be intimidated by, oh man, I gotta know parametrics. No, man, no. So don't let the math sway you, because you're not gonna be messing around with too much heavy stuff. But great point, Mike. Great point. That was a great point.
Yeah, and just to add to that, yeah, y'all exactly correct. To be honest, I think it's kind of still overemphasized that you need math to get into IT. You kind of don't. I mean, as far as what these guys said, basic algebraic expressions, trying to, understanding that, but you kind of don't need it, in my opinion, anymore. Like the way it's going, it seems like. You know how they would always say back in the day, oh, you need to understand math, like heavy in math to get into IT. That's not really the case as much nowadays. I was good in math, you know what I'm saying? And I took algebra, all that stuff in when I got my bachelor's degree, but it's not used on a daily basis as far as math. You can, as long as you can add, subtract, divide and stuff, it all depends on whatever you're programming. Now, if you getting into some, I would say, financial systems that you're managing, then yeah, you would need to understand some math, but it's not as much of a requirement unless you're just a finance guy.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're in IT, especially if you're just dealing with systems, They want you to understand how the systems actually work,
Mhm.
and you can leverage the finance guys, so to speak, when you're building out these applications. It's good to know, to have some knowledge in the terms that they use and all that, but when it comes to fully understanding it, you don't really need to. You can leverage those guys, and as long as they're giving you the right I would say information on whatever you're trying to set up, then you should be good.
Mhm. Yeah. As long as you can tie your shoes with Velcro straps, man, you should be ready to go.
That's funny, but that's true. I mean, unless you really heavy on the design side, and you're in a real technical position where you're really designing a lot of stuff from more technical perspective. But as far as where you are on that, you're not going to really need to need to have a lot of mathematics. You're just not going to need it if you're like I said, algebra is good enough. If you're doing engineering stuff and you're doing computer aided design and all this kind of stuff, I mean, you still have formulas for that. So, you just don't need it. So you're not going to need much. So don't panic. Don't worry that you got to be some math elite to do this. You just not going to need that. That's enough about that. All right.
Yeah. Let's
Mike.
go to Mike Shinnery. He has his hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that for those people that are listening that are interested in getting in the entry level. Man, I'm 42 right now. I topped out my junior year in high school, algebra 2, and I didn't get into the IT field until I was in my 30s, and I got my A+, my Net Plus, and Security Plus, all within a year span. The math, if you're just getting in, you don't need a lot of heavy math, like you guys were saying. And I went years without doing any kind of math besides for finances and stuff for businesses and whatnot. So yeah, don't be scared of the math if people are interested in getting into IT. It's definitely not a major concern right off the bat until, like you guys said, you're trying to get into the higher echelons.
Yeah, one of the solution architects I used to work with in cybersecurity, man, he was so adept at math. He cracked the Powerball algorithm. Scared the crap out of everybody in the office, man, when he did the numbers on the whiteboard.
That's crazy.
Nuts. Dude is nuts.
Crazy. You have some guys who are just crazy like that.
Yeah, he does talks at RSA, the security conference that happens a couple times a year, man. He's beyond words, man. I mean, he and I are mad cool. I haven't chilled with him in a minute, but he grew up in the hood too. He's white dude, mayonnaise boy, man. He ain't no joke, but he's down with the brothers though. So he's on a different level. He went to what did you graduate from? He graduated from Wentworth. So he was on a different level, man. You just got guys out there who are just freaks like that, man. They're just real freaks.
He'd be great at encryption, man.
Huh?
I mean, it's this guy. Encryption, right?
He cracked it, yeah. You imagine he knew the numbers before it even came out for the Powerball.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Did it on the
That's like a mental illness. That dude's ill. He's ill. Wow, that's ill.
Yeah. Because that's when the Powerball hit 1.5 or 1.3 billion dollars. He was like, he said, how does this thing really work? And this dude sat down on the whiteboard in the Security Operations Center and did it. It came out, the numbers were true. The numbers were true to his math, man. I was like, look at this. Dude is ill, man. Dudes are ill like that, man. But that's what happens, man. Guys like that, you just gotta tip your hat to them, keep them in your in good graces with them, man. It always I keep in contact with that dude. I hit him up on LinkedIn. What up with you? How things going with you, man? I keep those type of guys in my circle.
Always good to have guys like that around, because there's always opportunities because those guys are always going somewhere. There's always something up. They can always help turn you on to things. Guys like that are just people just want those kind of people around, man. That's retarded. That's retarded. I mean, just understanding the numbers you're looking at, that's crazy. It's crazy.
He's pulling in $250K a year.
Easy. He's doing that with one eye open, bro.
Yeah, he walks around with with a mohawk and it's colored and spiked up and got a suit and tie on. He's a rock star, man. That's just how those cats get down, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and they got to for sure, Mike. Break it down.
If he was melanated, man, he would be a lame. He would be an educated lame. In the tech world, he's a rock star. That's just how they get down. He wears just like what's his face from Lean On Me, with the top 10 Adidas and the suit jacket and stuff like that. The full 3-piece suit. That's how he rocks, man. Converse with the spike hair and a 3-piece suit. That's how he gets down. But keep those guys in your circle, man, because you never know what's gonna happen, man. He's the one that mentored me in cybersecurity, so he got me to where I'm at right now.
I said he should be in encryption and all this kind of stuff, being able to really.
Yeah, that's what he does. That's what he does.
Okay, yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, guys like that, I mean, there are guys out there. I mean, you have guys out there in some decent numbers, but in the overall population, it's a very small number of shows out there like that.
He's a cryptographer.
Yeah. That's exactly what I would think. Yeah, very, very, very small number of guys like this, Cole swaggering around. It's crazy. It's crazy, but that's Butterlight. Butterlight, Mike.
I wanted to actually touch on what we didn't get to on Cyber Monday. So let me jump to that. Next Foundation.
Oh yeah, somebody asked Mike, did he play those numbers? He didn't play those numbers though, did he?
No, what happened was he had predicted the numbers, but he didn't take it seriously. And it come to find out that the numbers were actually true. He was kicking himself. He's kicking himself to this very day.
Wow. Well, I guess maybe he wasn't that smart after all, huh?
Well, I try not to tease him about that. So,
yeah.
but he cracked it though. So, okay, here we go. He may have played those numbers, man. I don't know. You never know with some guys like that. This is from the Linux Foundation. So Cyber Monday training and certification sale. Save up to 65% on all training and certification. Get a Linux mug. What's included with our certifications: 12 months exam eligibility, free exam retake, PDF certificate. What's included in our training: hands-on labs and assignments, video content, 12 months of access to online courses, discussion forums, PDF certificate, digital certification badge. So you add that to your LinkedIn when you pass. And what are we looking at here? Essentials of Linux system administration, LFS 201. So LFCS. Linux Foundation Certified System Administrator. Really can't beat that for $189. Cheaper than Red Hat, better than CompTIA. And so that goes without saying, but this is a performance-based exam. This is not something, it's not a Q&A knowledge exam. This is a performance-based. So you better be able to do the task that they ask you to do, or else you fail. Linux Networking and Administration. So LFCE, Linux Foundation Certified Linux Engineer, $189, can't beat that. Kubernetes, we talked about containers earlier. Kubernetes developers, for developers, $189. Hyperledger, so this is blockchain, $189, can't beat that. Markdown from $499. Cloud Foundry, so this is basically for PaaS, platform as a service. So you're basically running a platform as a service in the cloud. So if you are a developer or you want to be a developer, you would take something like this.
Oh, Mike, yeah, you gotta study up on it. I'm still looking for a blockchain developer, man. The two guys, they just washed out this week, man. They washed them dudes off the surface of the boat like a tsunami hit their ass.
Mhm.
So yeah, bro. So I'm back almost to square one here. So it's a tough search, boys. Get up on these skill sets, man. Get up on them. Get up on them if you're gonna play this game. Big money at the end of this rainbow. Trust me. At the end of this rainbow, there's a pot of gold. There is no lie. All right, and you can't come in there being sucker laid. And I got some guys that have tried to slip a Mickey on the old boy, but it didn't work. But I'm just saying, get these skills together here, fellas, because I'm telling you, and whatever ladies are out there listening, I'm telling you, there's a lot of money here, man. There's a lot of money on the table. Damn, I can't express to you the reality of this. I just can't. I can't express to you how live this is. All right. Just in these two jobs alone, that's what, maybe 50 G's in fees, 50 grand alone, 50,000 at least. Come on, man. This is what's going on out here. All right. This is serious shit. We're not out here just yanking chains. That's why we dropping some of this stuff here. So I want you guys to understand where we are, what's really happening. All right. It's not a game. It's just real. This ain't no hashtag crap. This ain't no sitting around here talking about who's select, who isn't. This ain't about telling me, what derelict hoe is running behind you. This is get all that out of your mind. Concentrate on this kind of stuff here. This is where the game is at. Not with sucker legs. I'm just keeping it a buck.
Yep. And these are the super bundles right here for 65% off. Save 65%. So essential Linux system administration and network administration. So LFCS and LFCE $349. You can't beat that. Marked down from $998. Same thing for Kubernetes. The combination there. And then you have LFCE and Kubernetes fundamentals. Plus a certified Kubernetes administrator. You really can't beat that. You're trying to get into the cloud. This is going to be big time. This one right here. And so it expires on December the 10th, 2019. Let me drop that in the chat for you all that are interested in this type of stuff. I think Julian has a question for you, Nagom.
I'm sorry. What's the question, Mike?
Let me pull it back up. He said, anything ever come across your desk for front-end web developers?
Yeah, if I get some good front-end web development stuff, it's not a very senior role. I'm getting a lot of senior role stuff. Come to the end of the year, they can always get a lower-end developer, but I'm getting a lot of senior stuff because cats are jumping ship. They're jumping to other spots, making more dough. It's one guy jumps from one company, moves to the next. They do what we call the cross. And a lot of this stuff is going down right now when folks are chasing money. So, and so am I. But at the end of the day, I'm looking for kind of senior people. So I probably will have senior web development app. I got some new recs coming in, so I got to look through that. I probably do have one in there. So yeah, I am getting stuff, but it's ill. I hired one guy before. I had to get rid of him because he was totally sucker laid, not going in. So I need some good recruiters also from the standpoint of people who really understand the development side of the game and understand database administration. On the recruiting side, anybody who's looking at something like that, I'll talk to you. So that's where I'm at. So this shit is heating up. It's heating up, and people are yakking at me all day long, yakking at me like, what do you got? What do you got? They're yapping at me. It's crazy. So that's just where I am right now. All right, guys. So Julian, if I do have anything rolling up, we can talk and you can get a hold of me. Hit me up on my email address, and what we'll do is we can get behind the scenes and talk a little bit as well. but I'm the heat is on. Heat is on the old boy right now. Heat's on the old boy. So,
Yeah.
all right.
Doesn't Julian live in Alaska?
I don't know where Julian lives. I don't know where he lives. I have no idea. So it doesn't make any difference, man. Some of this stuff, if it's remote, you can potentially work from there, and maybe come in once every month, once every other month, and you know, it is what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So the reason why we had this live stream tonight, for those of you just catching up, man, Complex Design did an unboxing last night on the Rwandan smartphone, the first smartphone made in Africa. And it runs Android. And so we decided to talk about Android app development on the Progressive website. This is the most entry level, most rudimentary that you can actually get into from an app development perspective. You can write apps like this. You know, for the Android, you can push a lot of, you can correlate a user base on the continent and actually have a social impact within that region or within that area. So it's important that we understand why, you know, why app development is important. You can't just have a nice phone, tell everybody you got a nice phone, and then think that that's cool. You know, there's a difference between users and drivers, man. People who use the technology can't drive it, and the people who drive the technology control the users. And so we need to be in that mind state where we're developing apps, and what we're focusing on tonight is the most basic way of doing it. And Google has provided a step-by-step process on how to actually do this. As long as you know HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, you are good to go.
Facts, Mike. Facts. People just need to be on that. I mean, given these, you know, this hangout just to kind of let people know where the game is. You know, our feet are on the ground right now. This is not BS. Our feet are on the pavement. So this is what's going down. And anybody who's out here who's in the tech game, they'll back that up 100%. This is what's going down. So I just want people to get a realistic look. These jobs are more senior that we brought in here tonight, but it's just to give you an idea as to what's going on. All this is 6 and above. That's where we're at. All of it. So I've got a lot like this right now. That's why I said I got over $500,000 sitting on the table right now. Just if I can close it all, that's what I'm trying to do. Mm-hmm. So that's what's up. I'm not talking smack. I'm not talking junk. This is what's going down. All right. You know, you guys want to go over there and talk about, you know, who's defeated or who's occupied, or, you know, you all go ahead and go fuck around with them sucker legs. I'm talking about, we're talking real shit here. You know, stuff that you're just gonna put money in your pocket where you're gonna get live. All right. So that's all I'm saying. And brothers, we need to be on this. We need to be in this game, because I'm telling you, reparations is your reparations in some ways. I'm not saying this exactly is, but trust me, you put your time and effort in here, you're gonna get reparated. Believe me. Believe me. So there's a lot here. This is not a game. I don't want to go over here and mess with the derelicts. Go ahead. Derelict hoes talking smack, saying you ain't shit. Go ahead and go fuck with them. Go fuck with them. But for those who are serious about this, all right, you know, let's get up in this game here. That's the difference. All right. You know, I'm feeling kind of tight right now. I got a little pressure on me, but I'm just saying this is what's up. I ain't got time for bullshit. We ain't got time for it. And brothers, if we're going to be about our purpose, let's get on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely, man. Please hit the like button if you have not already done so. Share the video if possible. Hit the notification bell so you get all the updates from the Black Brain Trust, including those posted on the community tab. Check out the community tab. We do have a TV, the Black Brain Trust Moderator of the Year. Make sure you go vote on that on the community tab. Also, if you are trying to get in IT for the first time, we do offer IT mentorship for those looking to get in on the entry level. If you're looking to transition from one IT role to another, we do offer IT coaching. Also, if you have a resume that needs to be looked at, needs to be updated, we can give advice on that as well. Salary negotiations. And if you're in the tri-state area and you are looking to get in IT from a contract perspective, the Golden 11 does have Rex on the table. Rex on top of Rex. Rex in effects.
Rex, Rex and the Rex. so we definitely there's a lot going on. So you know, I want to just be positive with you guys and say, listen, let's really look deeply into this, and you know, let's get serious, because there's a lot of opportunity out there, people. I mean, there's more opportunity than you can imagine. You know, people are competing against the mayonnaise man, and the mayonnaise man gonna get me. You know, how you want to compete against mayonnaise man? Let me tell you something. You get your skill sets correct, this son of a bitch is nowhere to be seen. He ain't even on the friggin' table. You get your game right, and you have these kind of skill sets. Mayonnaise man is sitting there trying to find out how he can get you on his team. Ain't no compete against him. He's trying to put his hand in your pocket. He's trying to get live with you like that. All right, and everybody else for that matter. So it's you're competing against yourself right now, people. I keep saying that shit. You're competing against yourself. So get out here, get this done, and you'll start to make things happen for you. That's the game we're in. I'm not trying to listen to these people talking all this other crap all the while. I'm seeing what's going on, and you know, and I'm balls deep in this shit. All right, so you know, let's get real here. You know, yeah, there are issues, but let me tell you something, fellas. Get this game right. You're gonna see things are gonna be moving kind of nice. You know, you can build a lot on this, and see a lot of stuff since you can work remotely. You can, you want to put together you build your own communities. You can do that stuff, work remotely, do whatever you have to do, get paid nicely for it. Good. You're good. I'm just saying, there's a lot of ways to skin this cat out here. A lot.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Josh, you have anything you want to add before you leave out?
Oh nah, man, y'all got it.
All right.
And I apologize. My phone was about to die. I was over here putting out a fire on my other laptop, and yeah, so I had to switch back to my computer. But nah, y'all got it.
Nah, that's cool. It's cool. All right. Yeah, thank you all for joining us, man, and shalom.